So yeah, all right, second video here. After I got out, I graduated from Dye Elementary, and the interesting thing about Dye Elementary down there in Flint, Michigan, is that it went up to 5th grade until I got to 5th grade, and then it went up to 6th grade, and they added another grade, and then they brought us to a junior high. And I had learned a little bit about race in elementary school, and now I was going to learn more about race, but also more about class, economic class. Because when I moved to the junior high, 2 high schools had been consolidated, Carmen and Ainsworth. And the Ainsworth kids were considered to be, the wrong side of the tracks. They were the shop workers, okay? Like, they were the hard-nosed, blue-collar folks that were doing all the dirty, hard jobs, man. These were the cats getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to get paid not what they deserved and work their asses off all day long without a question. I mean, these are some of the hardest working folks. People talk shit about Flint. Hardest working folks on the Ainsworth side and on the Carmen side as well. But on the Carmen side, you really had more, I feel like it was more to the north and the west, and you had more of the professionals living there, right? So Dye Elementary was sort of in the middle of all this. But in the junior high, you started to see a real difference between the kids from Randall's, which was like a really nice neighborhood, and then the kids from some of these other places that you didn't know that were clearly coming from less money, much more violent attitudes. I wouldn't say the racism was any more or less economically, like it was the same whether they were rich or poor. There were racists all over the place, and people who fucking hate racists like myself. There were a lot of us too, and there were more of us than there were of them. I don't want to make it seem like Flint was a racist place, but anyone who is from there knows people who are racist as hell, and it makes no sense to people like me. I don't get it. But that's why I make videos like this, because I'm trying to squash that kind of stuff. Of course, I kept my friends Mookie and Jomo, but Jomo left. And then and in junior high, you start to sort of diversify because you're in more classes. So you start to meet more people from all these different places. And yeah, like I said, I mean, you started to see a difference between economic statuses, and there were people who were wearing particular clothes, right, to show their economic statuses. When I was a kid, this was Gerbeau. This was the Gerbeau jeans and the Skids pants and the polo shirts and whatever they were selling at Hudson's at the high price. If you were wearing that, then you were considered to be wealthy. And if you weren't, or you didn't, weren't clean, then you were considered to be a scrub and a loser and poor, which was the worst put down ever, was to be on welfare or to be poor, even though quite a lot of people were obviously in that situation. At the time I was in junior high, General Motors was handing out pink slips left and right. People were losing their jobs. People are losing their pensions. People are losing their houses. We're going through some serious economic downturn. I mean, this is the end of the Reagan era and the beginning of the Clinton era, right? Reagan-Bush sort of ending, and Clinton came in when I was in high school, when I was a junior. So in this sort of Reagan-Bush era, I mean, the economics were just, it was harsh, and you saw a lot of things that you didn't expect to see. Again, here I am, a rabbi's son, relatively sheltered, living on the outskirts in Flint Township. Not really, Carmen Ainsworth isn't really in the heart of Flint, the city. People were moving out of the city, just like in every other urban area in the United States. The people were moving it out, and they started to rent to the people that were coming in, predominantly black, And so you didn't have ownership, black ownership in the city. You had other people owning their property, them paying, and the businesses slowly moving out, right? So there's really, how are these people supposed to make money if all the businesses are moving out and the rents are getting jacked up and nobody owns their own house? Naturally, the crime rate just skyrocketed. And the higher the crime rate would go, the more people would buy guns. And I saw my first, guns in junior high. I mean, this was something I probably never would have seen in Pittsburgh. And I'll tell you about the first guns that I saw in the next video, part 3, about growing up in Flint, or really outside of Flint, if you want to be honest. It's not like I grew up in the city. And all my friends will point that out. But yeah, we'll come back for part 3 in just a little bit. I think I'm going to get a coffee.